I'm a beta, and somehow I'm pregnant. Right now, my kid's other biological father is staring me down, holding my transfer request and grilling me. Why are you transferring to logistics? Logistics is important, too. He took a deep breath. I know logistics is important. What I want to know is why you're suddenly pulling back from the front lines. I instinctively covered my stomach. It looked like I wouldn't get this transfer approved unless I gave him a convincing reason. I took a deep breath of my own. My Omega is pregnant. It's a high-risk pregnancy, and he needs me around all the time. And just like that, Joseph froze. The transfer request slipped from his fingers and fluttered to the floor. So here's the thing. This baby was an accident. Even its other dad doesn't know about it. Joseph is an S-class alpha, and there are only 3 of them in the entire country. From what I know of military secrets, all 3 of our S-class alphas have been handed over to the state, and every single one of them has issues. Yeah, I mean that literally. They have medical issues. The world only sees the power of an S-class alpha, but they don't know what it costs to become that powerful. For example, one colonel has a pheromone mutation, and Joseph, he has rut-induced dissociative identity disorder. Basically, on the 2nd day of his rut, his personality splits into someone else. On the 3rd day, he's back to normal. And the personality that emerges. He's absolutely head over heels in love with me. For the 3 years I've been his aide, I'm his subordinate most of the time. But on the 2nd day of his rut, I become his lover. On the 3rd day, I'm back to being his subordinate. Our biometric data is all stored at the military's research institute, and everyone in the know has hidden the fact that he has this condition from him. When they found out I was pregnant, the institute immediately covered it up, too. Then, using the excuse that they needed to monitor my vitals constantly, they urgently requested a transfer for me to get me away from Joseph for a while, also they could study me. You see, modern betas have basically evolved to the point where pregnancy is impossible. The fact that I conceived is nothing short of a miracle. I scoffed at that. Betas can't get pregnant because their alphas aren't strong enough. I got pregnant because my alpha is. It's such a simple concept, but they're obsessed with trying to figure something out by studying me. Honestly, I know why they're doing this. They don't think a beta like me is good enough for Joseph. The institute's deputy director, a delicate-looking Omega, is the one they consider Joseph's fated partner, with an 85% compatibility match. So, of course, they don't want me using a baby to tie Joseph down. A beta like me, who isn't fit for polite society, is fine for a fling. But how could I possibly be taken seriously? It's laughable. Betas do most of the essential work, yet we're the ones they look down on. Whatever. I don't care. But when I heard the deputy director had deigned to become Joseph's personal medic, I did spare a moment of silence for him. Did he really think Joseph was a nice guy? After transferring to logistics, my life got a lot quieter. When the institute requested my transfer, I agreed immediately without a second thought. I knew my intense training regimen wasn't good for the baby, and besides, the border was stable. They didn't need me. I'd been trying to come up with an excuse to get transferred anyway. I never expected someone to hand me the perfect solution on a silver platter. The institute contacted my superiors directly and got the transfer approved for me. I'm so lucky. Not only did the transfer go through, but I got away scot-free. Everyone who knows the situation has branded me as a humble beta forced to leave his alpha. I could laugh out loud. Do I look like I need their pity? Don't they know me at all? How could they be foolish enough to think that someone who survived 3 years by Joseph's side was humble or pitiful? September 25th, the 2nd day of Joseph's rut. He showed up in my office. He locked the door and slowly sauntered over to me. I'd been watching him since he walked in. The moment he sat on my desk, I stood up and wrapped my arms around his neck. "I missed you, hubby." Hearing that, his body went rigid, and the icy expression on his face instantly softened. "What's this? Trying to sweet-talk me?" I laughed into his chest. "You can't seriously think I'm a beauty, can you? Compared to an Omega, I'm built like a brick house." He pulled me into a tight embrace. "You are to me. What are you doing here?" I asked softly, nuzzling his Adam's apple. "What do you think? You heartless little thing." I woke up this morning and saw that deputy director hovering over me. I kicked him out of instinct. They had to take him to the hospital. His face twisted in disgust. Was it him? Did he pull some strings to get you transferred? The second I'm not around, they all start bullying you. And how could Joseph agree to your transfer? I chuckled. You know me better than that. If I didn't want to be transferred, no one could make me go. You did it willingly? Why? Your talent is on the battlefield. Why would you suddenly step back like this? And what's this I hear about you having a pregnant Omega? I took his hand and placed it on my stomach. There's no Omega. I'm the one carrying your baby. He shuddered, his eyes widening in shock. When did this happen? I held up 2 fingers. 2 months ago. He started grinning like an idiot. After a few minutes, he asked, "Does Joseph know?" I shook my head. Nope. He was pissed at me for days about the transfer. Besides, it's not his kid I'm carrying. Why would I tell him? He nipped my cheek. Good. You know your place. I smiled. This big baby's jealousy was so easy to manage. He'd been jealous of Joseph for ages. I knew exactly what he wanted to hear. I found a comfortable spot in his arms and leaned against him. I drifted off as he excitedly talked about his plans for when the baby was born. He was so loud. I preferred Joseph, a block of ice who barely spoke. I've been so sleepy since getting pregnant. At 11:30 p.m., Joseph, who'd been holding me while I slept, gently pulled me out of his arms and laid me properly on the bed next to him. I managed to crack my eyes open a little. Seeing my drowsy state, he chuckled and kissed me on the lips. I have to go, honey. It's almost midnight. I wrapped my arms around his neck and we shared another long, sticky kiss. Go on, Cinderfella. He bit my neck playfully one last time, then left, grinding his teeth. I'll see you next month, wifey. I waved him off and fell back asleep. The next day, I ran into Joseph as I was leaving the institute after a checkup. He saw me coming out of the Omega prenatal department and froze. Colonel Joseph, I said, giving him a nod. He glanced around. Where's your Omega? A smile played on my lips. He already finished his appointment and went home. I was just picking up his results for him. I waved the report in my hand. Seeing his grim expression, I felt a twinge of concern and asked casually, "What brings you to the institute, Colonel?" He sighed. "It's the deputy director, Dr. Mason. He signed on to be my medic, you know. You also know about my condition, how I pass out for a full day on the second day of my rut. He was watching over me, but somehow he was found unconscious in my room. They transferred him here today. It has nothing to do with me, but I still have to come check on him." Seeing him frown, I knew he found it all a hassle but felt obligated to show up. He must have been really stressed. It was the only time he ever talked this much. I nodded. "Ah, I see. Well, the deputy director seems a bit fragile. You should take good care of him from now on." Joseph looked stunned. "Why would I need to take care of him?" I suppressed a smile. "You two have such high compatibility, and he insisted on becoming your medic. Colonel, surely you know what his intentions are, right?" Joseph's lip twitched. "I could never be with him. You know that." "Oh?" I feigned confusion. "How would I know? He's the only person in the world with over 80% compatibility with you. You know his pheromones smell like licorice. It's the one scent I can't stand." He was right. Joseph hated a lot of smells, but licorice was at the top of the list. Even if Joseph's pheromones went into overdrive, nothing would ever happen with Dr. Mason. The smell of his pheromones alone was enough to make Joseph want to puke. I pursed my lips and patted his shoulder. "Tough break, Colonel. You should go see him. I've got to get home. My Omega is waiting for me." As I walked past him, he reached out and grabbed my arm. "You've never mentioned this Omega to me before. Are you serious about him? Or are you in some kind of trouble? If you are, just tell me. I can help." Did he think I was being blackmailed by an Omega? I shook my head, smiling. "Not at all. I'm serious about him. He's madly in love with me, and I'm more than happy to have a child with him." Joseph's expression darkened. "Fine. I wish you both the best. Remember to invite me to the wedding." He let go of my arm and turned to leave. Back home, I looked over the medical report in detail. Everything was fine. The baby looked good, too. I remember the first time I saw it on a scan. It was only the size of a peanut, and now it was almost as big as a small grape. Telling Joseph I had an omega lover was just an excuse to explain the baby's arrival later on. Otherwise, it would be hard to explain a child suddenly appearing in my life. After all, my plan was always to keep the kid and ditch the dad. I wanted a child who would inherit my superior genes. And the father? Joseph was the perfect candidate. He was a high-quality alpha, and I was horny for him. My plan was to eventually say we got divorced and I got custody. After stuffing the report into a folder on my desk, I called a friend to go out for dinner. Normally, I couldn't care less about food, but ever since I got pregnant, I've had constant cravings. Luckily, I have enough friends that there's always someone to join me for a nice meal. I just didn't expect to run into Joseph again while I was out. I bumped into him outside the restroom. He looked drunk, propped up on Colonel Evans's shoulder.
He walked over.
Colonel Evans, what's going on with Colonel Joseph? Colonel Evans's eyes lit up when he saw me. He's in a terrible mood and drank himself stupid. I was just about to look for you. You're always the one who handles him when he gets like this. Perfect timing. With that, he started trying to shift Joseph onto me. I instinctively shielded my stomach and dodged. Sorry, Colonel. I'm not feeling too well myself these days. Let me find someone to help. Just a moment. He stared at me for 3 seconds, then held up a hand to stop me. No need to call anyone else. How about this? I'll get him home and you can take care of him there. I nodded. That worked. As long as I didn't have to do any heavy lifting. It was after 9 by the time we got back to his place. Joseph was dumped onto the bed. I started getting him everything he needed to sober up. He was always pretty well behaved when he was drunk, but he'd invariably get up at some point to wash up and drink some hot water. So I went to the kitchen to boil some for him. After pouring the boiled water into a thermos, I turned to leave the kitchen. And there was Joseph standing in the doorway, leaning against the frame. Before I could say a word, he spoke. Wifey, you came to see me? Who was he talking to? Who did he think I was? Since when did he have a wife? While I was still stunned, he walked right up to me and wrapped his arms around me. Why did you just leave me like that? This is so miserable. You have no idea how hard it is without you. All those omegas have their sense, and so do the stinky alphas. I get headaches from the smell every day. Why did you transfer? I told Evans about it today, and he just laughed at me. I was so hurt. The people who took over your job are useless, too. And when we were on the battlefield, you were my rock. Now that you're in logistics, I'm gonna feel so empty the next time I have to deploy. That bastard Evans even has his wife with him on the battlefield. But I don't. This world is so unfair. I listened to his rambling without responding, letting him have his drunken tantrum. As for why he was calling me wifey, he was probably just drunk, or maybe his brainwaves were scrambled and his second personality had surfaced. After he finished crying his heart out, he obediently went to pour himself some hot water and then went to wash up. After that, he lay down neatly in bed and pulled the covers over himself. He looked at me with his eyes open and beckoned. Wifey, come to bed. I walked over to his bedside and tucked both of his arms under the covers. Close your eyes and go to sleep. Then, without much thought, I leaned down and gave him a quick kiss on the cheek. In any case, Joseph's second personality was my husband. There was nothing wrong with kissing my own husband. He obediently closed his eyes and fell asleep. It was already late. It would take me ages to get home, so I just stayed in the guest room next door. I'd always been the one to take care of him when he was sick or had work events, so I'd been using the guest room all along. The closet was full of my things, ready to use any time. The next morning, after waking him up, I headed straight for command. He watched me leave with a sullen look on his face. Back when I was his aide, I'd always taken care of him through breakfast and gone to work with him. But I wasn't his aide anymore. I had no obligation to look after him. In my 3rd month of pregnancy, I had another checkup. The results were still excellent. Everyone found it fascinating. Normally, when an omega gets pregnant, they can't be away from their alpha. In some extreme cases, if they're separated from their alpha's pheromones, both the mother and the baby suffer. But none of that was happening to me. I was thriving and so was the baby. Still, the doctor recommended that Joseph give the baby a little bit of his pheromones from time to time to help it grow even healthier. Plus, you never knew if the baby might suddenly need a large dose of pheromones one day. Everyone who saw my results couldn't believe it. How could someone of my lower gender be having such an easy pregnancy? They were laughing at my gender in their heads, and I was laughing at them for being nothing more than animals. The truth is, my way of thinking has always been different, even when I was a kid. The way I see it, alphas and omegas are the ones who should be ridiculed. They're just puppets controlled by pheromones and desire. I've looked down on them my whole life, but I've never let it show. If I said it out loud, I'd probably be assassinated. After all, physically, I really can't compete with an alpha. I met Joseph 5 years ago, back when he was still an A-class alpha. But he was beautiful, more beautiful than anyone I'd ever seen. I happened to see him a few times during his rut. That look of strained tolerance, the way he was controlled by his desires, it was even more beautiful. I'm no saint. Seeing him like that, I wanted his body. I just never expected that 3 years ago he'd suddenly evolve into an S-class alpha, and with it, develop a split personality during his rut. That very day, I slept with the second personality that emerged. It saved him the trouble of dealing with it himself. I might have been horny, but I can't deny that I helped him out. I just didn't expect the first thing he'd do after getting out of bed would be to kneel and apologize to me. I'm sorry. I'll take responsibility for you. Me, I really don't want you to. Once he was clear-headed, he gave himself a few extra shots of suppressants. Then he knelt before me, begging for forgiveness, convinced that he had forced me. And me? I just extended my foot and traced a line from his waist all the way up to his chest. I tapped my toes on his chest twice and said, "Do it again, and I'll let you take responsibility." After that day, we came to an unspoken agreement. We'd see each other once a month. He saw me as his partner. I saw him as a bed partner. I never thought his second personality would be so easy to fool. After a few tumbles in the sheets, he was deeply in love with me. He even told me, "Love comes from a place unknown, yet it grows ever deeper." I let out a breath. The affection he developed in bed was surprisingly sincere. See? Alphas are just animals driven by desire. I was reviewing some files when someone walked into my office. I looked up and frowned at the visitor. "What are you doing here?" He pulled up a chair and sat down in front of me. "Major General Leo, I'm here to discuss something with you." I motioned for him to go lock the office door. Once the door was locked, I started lecturing him. "Don't be so careless in the future. You called me Major General before the door was even closed. What if someone had heard you?" General Kai just shrugged, completely unfazed. I couldn't be bothered with him anymore. He was used to being reckless. He was also one of the few people who knew my true identity. "We need reinforcements on the front lines. We want to send Joseph, but there's a problem." "What problem?" The moment he said they wanted Joseph for the front, I had a pretty good idea of what was coming. Right now, only Joseph is capable of stabilizing the front, but his pheromones are unstable, and so is his mental state. The only person compatible with his pheromones, Dr. Mason, was kicked into the hospital by him. We're worried something might happen, so I came to ask you, given your current condition, can you go to the front with him, just like before? As he spoke, he glanced at my stomach. What about the other two S-class alphas? Colonel Evans is at the Eastern Command, and Colonel Reed is in his rut. You know, his ruts are irregular. We don't know when he'll be back to normal. I tapped my pen on the desk. Alphas are so useless. Kai slammed his hand on the table. "Hey, don't paint us all with the same brush. I'm an alpha, too. We may be useless, but our pheromones are still effective against the enemy." I tossed my pen at him. "If you were so useful, you wouldn't be here asking for my help." Kai froze, lowering his head in shame. "Give me an hour to think about it. I'll give you my answer then." S-class pheromones have a suppressive effect on the bugs, which is why these 3 messed up alphas take turns deploying. When I first hid my identity and voluntarily took a demotion to be Joseph's aide, The official reason was to monitor his condition. To put it bluntly, I was Joseph's watchdog, a kill switch hanging over his head. I reported every detail of his condition to command. If Joseph ever lost control, I had the authority to issue a kill order on the spot. He should be thankful I'm competent enough to have kept everything under control. Otherwise, he'd have been dead countless times without even knowing it. Before we could finish talking, my comms suddenly rang. I signaled for Kai to be quiet. It was Joseph's most trusted subordinate, Jay, opening a video channel. "Leo, we have a problem." "What is it?" "The colonel's been poisoned." I shot to my feet. "Where is he now?" "Fifth floor of the institute." "Get here now." I started running, asking for details as I went. "What happened? What's his condition?" "They caught it early. They're detoxing him now and gave him the serum, but he's still unconscious." "How could he get poisoned at command?" "They pulled the security footage. It was that damn deputy director. The colonel went to see him today, and he started spouting nonsense again about their high compatibility and getting married. The colonel told him he was already in love with someone else, and the guy pulls a syringe out of nowhere and stabs him in the arm. Luckily, the colonel reacted fast and only got a small dose. If that full dose had gone in, the colonel would be dead for sure. I suppressed my rage as I entered the institute. "I told you, alphas, omegas, they're all just animals ruled by pheromones and emotions." Did Mason ever stop to think that Joseph was a national asset? Did he ever consider that Joseph had to go to the front lines to defend our country? What good would harming him do, other than costing the nation one of its greatest assets? This kind of selfish, self-destructive person. The moment I saw Dr. Mason standing outside the hospital room, I rushed forward and slapped him across the face. He was already being restrained by 2 guards, and my slap left him completely stunned. When he snapped out of it, he started flailing, trying to hit me back, but the guards held him tight. He couldn't even lunge a few inches. "Who do you think you are? What gives you the right to hit me?" Jay came out of the room, his eyes lighting up when he saw me. "Leo, you're here. Come on in." I didn't spare Mason another glance and went inside. Joseph was lying there, his face pale. Did Mason say what the poison was? He just told us. It wasn't actually a poison. It was a pure liquid extracted from his own pheromones, mixed with stimulants and a nerve-paralyzing agent. He was trying to trigger the colonel's rut, but he didn't expect it to have such a severe effect and cause a toxic reaction. I really wanted to go out there and slap him again. Just then, Kai walked in. "How's Joseph?" Jay immediately stood at attention. "Major General Kai, the colonel has been detoxed, but he's still unconscious."
Crave.
"Mason has some serious nerve pulling a stunt like this at a time like this. Just send him to the front lines. He's nothing but trouble here. Let me know when Joseph wakes up. I have other things to attend to." He glanced at his device. "I'm going back to confirm the situation at the front. If he doesn't wake up in the next few days, Leo, you'll deploy with me." "Yes, sir." After seeing Kai off, Jay suddenly slung an arm around my shoulders. "We're both aides. Why are they sending you to the front?" "Can go too." I shrugged him off. Of course it was because I graduated first in my class from the Military Academy's Command and Combat Division. It's how I climbed the ranks to Major General. If Kai deployed, the pheromonal suppression of the bugs wouldn't be as strong, so they'd naturally need a top-tier commander to compensate. But my identity had been kept secret from the start. Even as a combat commander, I always operated from the strategy room, never showing my face to others. My official reason was that I was just a beta. If the alphas on the front lines found out, they wouldn't follow my orders. Even though I graduated at the top of my class from the command division, it didn't matter. In the face of gender, incredible talent is useless. It's pathetic. I know the inherent flaws of alphas all too well. Another reason was that my senses and combat abilities weren't as strong as an alpha's. If I were exposed, an assassination attempt would be a real problem. I like living, and my superiors were terrified of something happening to me. After all, a strong body is easy to find. A brilliant mind isn't. On October 20th, Joseph woke up. A full physical examination showed he was in perfect health. I nodded as I looked at the report. His recovery was good. He was fit for the front lines. The next day, we deployed. He looked at me sitting across from him, confused. Didn't you transfer to logistics? Major General Kai ordered me to come along. If you have a problem with it, you can take it up with him. Kai was notoriously difficult to deal with. Most people avoided him if they could. As soon as I said that, Joseph went quiet. He had no desire to have that leech stuck to him for days. Joseph's pheromones were incredibly potent. By the third day on the front, the bugs were completely suppressed. I looked at the date and knew what he was doing. Joseph wanted to wrap things up before his rut started. After all, in his mind, on October 25th, he would be unconscious for a full day. As for me, I was a little bit excited. Even though I don't need pheromones, the baby in my belly could use a little from its father. It would help it grow stronger. So I was also waiting for that day, for Joseph's second personality to appear. As soon as midnight struck on October 25th, I grabbed my pillow and opened the door to Joseph's room. I saw he was already asleep. I placed my pillow on the bed and lay down beside him. Joseph woke with a start. I was exhausted. After settling in, I grabbed his hand, placed it on my stomach, and ripped the suppressor patch off his neck. I can't smell them, but the kid needs it. Just let M rip. The more pheromones, the better. With that, I snuggled into his arms, found a comfortable position, and fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up in Joseph's arms. He was holding me tight. I looked up and saw him staring at me nervously. I laughed. What's with that face? What? Shocked to see me on the front lines while pregnant? Joseph's face turned ashen. I wrapped my arms around his neck and pressed myself against him. "Okay, don't be mad. Joseph didn't force me to come. We're just used to working together. Plus, he was poisoned before, so I had to keep an eye on him. If something happened to his body, what would happen to you? It's your body too, after all." I leaned in and sniffed his neck. "Did you release your pheromones?" "Yeah." As expected, I couldn't smell a thing. Even though I can't smell them, the doctor said it's good for the baby. So please release a bit more. He still seemed a little dazed, so I just kissed him. Joseph froze for a second before realizing what was happening. He pulled me on top of him and kissed me back. But it was a little strange. His kiss was awkward, almost inexperienced. Thankfully, after a minute, he seemed to get the hang of it. I figured he was still mad about me being on the front lines. But he's easy to persuade, especially if I take the initiative. When the kiss ended, I lay panting in his arms. He just held me silent. "When we get back, I promise I won't do anything reckless again. Okay?" I offered him an out. "Okay, I'll go make you breakfast. You rest here." I nodded. "Go ahead." I watched him leave, a seed of doubt planting itself in my mind. After breakfast, I sat by the window wrapped in a blanket, reading a book. "I'm going to a meeting, I'll be right back." "What do you want for lunch?" "I'll make it for you. I'm not very hungry. I don't want anything." He came over and took my hand, rubbing it gently. "You're carrying a child. You have to eat something. Be good." "Fine then. I'll eat whatever you make." "Good," he said, reaching up to ruffle my hair. I dodged with a laugh. "Why are you acting so weird today?" His hand paused. "You're overthinking it. Just rest." "I'm going to the meeting." I tugged on his shirt, pulling him down. He leaned over, thinking I had something to say. I bit his chin playfully. "Come back soon, hubby." "Okay." I watched him go. The second the door closed, the smile vanished from my face. I opened my comms and sent a message to the Institute's director. "Alex, send me Joseph's file. The classified RUT protocol." "Alex, on it, Leo. Give me 3 minutes." I sent back an okay. Joseph was not acting like himself today. It felt like I was with the original, not the split personality. If that was true, then where did the other one go? I reviewed all of Joseph's previous medical reports. Nothing was out of the ordinary. I contacted Alex again. "He's having an issue. When we get back to command, I'm bringing him in for a full workup." "What kind of issue?" I sighed. The second personality seems to have disappeared. Could it be because of what Dr. Mason did? Since their compatibility is so high, maybe that pheromone concentrate affected him? I tossed my book onto a nearby chair. There's no way to be sure yet. I'll keep observing him, but as soon as we're back, he's getting checked out. No problem. Leo, I wanted to ask about Dr. Mason. I heard the sentence is going to be severe. I grunted in confirmation. I gave the order. Do you have a problem with that? He almost cost us one of our 3 greatest assets. What are your thoughts on the matter? There was a moment of silence on the other end. You're right, Leo. I have no objections. 2 hours later, Joseph returned. He brought the food he'd made and set it in front of me. See if this tempts you. I wasn't looking at the food. I was staring at him. He moved the tray to a side table, then pulled up a stool and sat across from me. Leo, you really are smart. I leaned back against the headboard and scoffed. Right back at you. So every time I'm unconscious during my rut, it's because another version of me appears. Isn't it? I nodded. How did you figure it out? Are we that different? I yawned. He can't cook. Joseph was silent for a moment. You got together with the other me. You had a child together. The story about your pregnant Omega was a lie. You don't have an Omega, you're the one pregnant with my child. I nodded, then shook my head. It's true there's no Omega, but I'm carrying his child, not yours. He gritted his teeth. I'm not going to argue with you about that. When did you two get together? Over 3 years ago. He looked shocked. So you got together as soon as this started happening? How could you? I hissed. What do you mean, how could I? He turned to look out the window, seemingly calming himself, then turned back to me. Never mind. You are a beta, right? Yes. So you don't need my pheromones, but the baby does now, correct? Yes. Then you'll stay with me for the time being. I'll provide pheromones for the child. I was confused. Weren't we already staying together? I mean 24/7. Huh? That night, Joseph came straight to my room. What do you think you're doing? He dragged a mattress in from somewhere. Relax, I'll sleep on the floor. It's just to release some pheromones for the baby. Oh, I see. By the way, I spoke to the institute. When you get back in a few days, you need to go in for a full physical. Joseph's rut hadn't come at its usual time. Something was definitely wrong. If his rut never came, the other him wouldn't appear either. Even if it did come, I wasn't sure the other him would show up. If he never appeared again, we were husbands for all intents and purposes, and we didn't even get a proper goodbye. Felt incredibly hollow. And for such a vibrant person to just vanish like that, the thought made my chest ache. An exam? I feel fine like this. It would be great if I never had a rut again. He said this while laying out the mattress. I shot up in bed. He saw me staring and smirked. What? Does your heart ache for him? Want to see him? Worried that if I don't have a rut, he won't show up? I turned my back to him and lay down again, not bothering to answer. Relax. I'm just messing with you. I'll go get checked out when we get back. No matter what, I'll find a way to make sure he doesn't disappear. After all, he's the one you love. I suddenly felt defiant. It's not exactly love. Not love? Just horny for his body? Shut up. What was with him? I thought he was the quiet type. Why was he picking a fight with me all day? And worse, he was right. The next morning, Joseph received news that the bugs were stirring again. We went to the front together. He didn't want me to go at first, but for some reason I had a bad feeling. Sure enough, just as we finalized our battle plan, Joseph went into his rut. The medic tried to give him a suppressor shot, but he waved him off, glanced at me and said, "My pheromones are going crazy right now. Perfect for the battlefield. I've got all this pent-up anger and nowhere to put it. Lieutenant Leo will be in full command of this position." With that, he was about to lead his men out. I stopped him just in time. No matter what, try to be back by 11 tonight. Joseph was quiet for a moment. You miss him that much? I paused too. He's never been on a battlefield. If he's the one who shows up tomorrow, he'll get himself killed. Joseph nodded. Oh, so he's that useless. I had no comeback for that. He gets all the perks, doesn't he? While I do all the dirty work. He then gave my hand a reassuring squeeze. No matter what, I'll be back before 11 tonight. Good. Joseph was true to his word, pulling back from the front line at 10:30 p.m. But to end the battle quickly, He'd released too many pheromones and completely exhausted himself. He collapsed the moment he got back. On the second day of his rut, he woke up. I stared into his eyes without saying a word. He looked back at me, puzzled, and whispered, "Wifey, what's wrong?" I let out a breath and clutched my chest, trying to calm my racing heart. I rushed to the bed and threw my arms around him. He seemed to sense something was wrong and held me close. "What is it? Why are you so scared?" I shoved my comms in his face. "The 26th? It's the 26th? His eyes widened in disbelief. "Your rut was delayed by a day. I was so worried about you. I thought you were gone for good. You have no idea how scared I was." I pinched my thigh hard, forcing out a couple of tears. He froze for a second, then narrowed his eyes. "Did you kiss Joseph? Or sleep with him?" I gasped. "He was that smart. We just kissed." He tilted my chin up. "I knew it. You only act like this when you've done something to wrong me. Look me in the eye and tell me you only kissed." I held up my hand. "I swear. Besides, the baby is so small. No matter how much I want you, I wouldn't do anything. You have to believe me." He pressed my head against his chest and let out a long sigh. "I believe you. It was a sudden situation, you didn't mean for it to happen. It's that shameless Joseph's fault, not yours." I nodded a few times against his chest. "He knows about you now." He snorted. "So what? It's not like he can kill me. Your condition is unstable right now. We need to get to the institute for an examination as soon as possible. Things here are pretty much wrapped up. I've already contacted Colonel Reed. He's on his way to take over, so we can head back." "Fine by me. I just never expected things to get so complicated." The next morning, when I realized the second personality hadn't disappeared, I went numb. He, on the other hand, was thrilled. He practically wanted to celebrate with a drink. In the end, he brought over 2 glasses of warm water, and we clinked them together. Here's to me, hopefully taking over his body for good. In the future, there will only be me. Know him. Hearing that, my head started spinning. If it was always him, would I lose my freedom? And more importantly, wouldn't the military lose a major asset? He'd never even been on a battlefield before. Plus, I'd have to teach him all the combat knowledge from scratch. A complete rookie. He would waste so much of my time. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, and I suddenly felt a wave of nausea. "What's wrong? What's wrong?" I waved a hand. "It's nothing." I was so pissed I could puke. The day we got back from the front, I took Joseph straight to the institute. The problem now is that the primary personality has vanished. Alex closed his eyes in despair. Joseph's case was the first of its kind, with no precedent to follow. It must be the result of that pheromone concentrate he was injected with. Let's start with a full physical and then monitor him daily to see what happens. "Leo, I'm afraid you'll have to stay by the colonel's side from now on." I sighed in resignation. My role as a human monitoring device was back on. This time, the second personality lasted for a full 5 days before disappearing. When Joseph woke up, I was feeding him orange slices. "Have one. This is super sour." I popped a slice into his mouth. It was a delicious, tangy burst of flavor. Joseph swallowed it with a blank expression. Something felt off. My husband would have spit it out and whined dramatically. "Are you Joseph?" He grunted. "Oh, well, since you're awake, let's have lunch and then head to the debriefing. It's a victory celebration after all." "Leo." I stuffed the last slice of orange into my mouth. "What? Let's get married." The orange peel in my hand fell to the floor with a soft thud. "We can get the license taken care of soon. After all, you're carrying my child." I held up a hand to stop him. "It's not yours." "Oh, then we'll do a paternity test. If it's not mine, we'll go with what you said. After we're married, we can keep things the way they've always been. I just don't want to miss my child's childhood. I want to be with them every day." "So you're only marrying me for the baby?" Joseph shook his head. "No, it's because of you. I've liked you for a long time, but you've always had a thing against alphas, so I never dared to confess. Things ended up like this, but I'm not greedy. I just want you to marry me." I was completely stunned. "You're saying you like me?" Joseph nodded. "I even tried to test the waters once, asking you what you thought of alpha-beta relationships. You said it was sick and that beta-omega was the only true match. You look down on alphas who can't control themselves. And then, when you suddenly said you had an omega, I thought maybe he was threatening you. I wanted to rescue you from that hell. So I don't care that you're with the other me. I just want to marry you and protect you and the child. I can still live with you as a friend. I gritted my teeth, looking at his innocent, manipulative act. He was trying to brand me as the bad guy. Seeing my silence, he didn't press further. You can think about it. I'm not in a rush for an answer. I just feel like this is the only way I can be with you. After Joseph left, I sat there in a daze for a long time. This was a mess. The days passed in a blur. Lately, I'd been feeling tired, a little weak. A checkup revealed that the baby needed its father's pheromones. A lot of them. So Joseph moved into my room. I slept on the bed and he took the floor. One day, I woke up in Joseph's arms and knew instantly. The second personality was back. You're awake? I yawned and nodded. I ordered breakfast for you. Get up and eat in a bit. I'm heading to a meeting. I waved him off. Bye. When I got home from work that evening, I found Joseph staring at a notebook in a daze. I walked over and straddled his lap. What's wrong? Joseph proposed to you? The words tumbled out of my mouth. How did you know? He wrote down all the details for me. And he wants me to convince you to marry him. I tried to get off his lap, feeling nervous and guilty. But he just wrapped his arms around my waist, pulling me closer. Leo, don't think I don't know what you're up to. What am I up to? You were planning to have the baby and then dump me, weren't you? I was shocked. How did he know? From the very beginning, you never planned on taking responsibility for me. Did you? You just wanted to sleep with me. Even getting pregnant was intentional. You wanted a child with a powerful bloodline, preferably one that also carried your own blood. And my appearance gave you the perfect opportunity. He tilted my chin up. If the doctor hadn't told you the baby might need my pheromones, you probably would have hidden its existence and kicked me to the curb right then and there. After all, you're just that kind of cold, heartless beta. Hey, now he was getting personal. I know why you came to be my aide. It must have been so demeaning for a major general to be a human monitor by my side. But I don't care. I don't care why you came to me, and I don't care if you truly love me. I just want to know, can you just take pity on me and marry me? What? I only come out once a month, for 5 days at most. Even if I wanted to take care of you and the baby all the time, I can't. But if we get married, Joseph and I can take care of you every day. Besides, he likes you so much. You can divorce him after the baby is born. He'll do whatever you want. Let's give the baby a legal identity, use Joseph to wait on you hand and foot, and when we don't need him anymore, we can just divorce him. How about it? I was actually starting to be convinced. But it's not fair to him. He picked up the notebook. Look, he's willing. He's worried you'll have a hard pregnancy and wants to be there for you. He's even okay with going back to being just friends after the baby is born. Just think of it as taking pity on us. Both of us. Please? I rested my head on his shoulder. It wasn't a bad idea. That very day, he took me to get the marriage license. And just like that, I had 2 servants who took turns waiting on me. My quality of life shot through the roof. Breakfast was ready when I woke up. Joseph was in charge of all 3 meals a day. All I had to do was eat. He took care of all the housework. My life became a simple, blissful cycle of eating, working, and sleeping. The day the baby was born, Joseph was overjoyed, holding our child in his arms. That night, he smiled as he looked at the baby in its bassinet. The mole on his lower back is exactly like yours, he told me. So cute. My eyes flew open in shock. The mole on my back. How would Joseph know about that? Only the second personality knew. I scooted to the edge of the bed. Who are you, really? Joseph paused. Then a look of realization dawned on his face. That was careless of me. I was furious. Careless? What's going on with you? Joseph's previously cool and detached demeanor completely vanished. Honey, it's me. A shiver ran down my spine. What do you mean, it's you? Did you take over his body? Is Joseph gone? He sat on the bed and pulled me back under the covers. We just merged. Me and him. He tucked the blanket around me. Since you've figured it out, I'll come clean. I've actually liked you for 5 years. But in getting to know you, I realized you would never like an alpha. But I liked you, so I started dreaming about you being my wife. When I evolved into an S-class alpha, my mind got a little scrambled. I started confusing my dreams with reality and thought you really were my wife, though I never dared to do anything in my dreams. Then I woke up that day, and we'd done everything. I felt I had to take responsibility. My mind only got jumbled on the second day of my rut, which created this situation. But Dr. Mason's pheromone concentrate cured me. My hand trembled. So, when your first proposal failed, you turned around and pretended to be the other personality to propose again. Yeah. Furious, I grabbed a pillow and threw it at him. Yeah. This is fraud. You tricked me into marrying you. He just grinned and took the hits. I was out of options. If we didn't get married soon, the baby would have been born. So what are you now? Which personality is more dominant? He thought for a moment. Whichever one you want, I'll be. Whether you want a hero or a useless bum, I can switch anytime. Great. Still leaning more towards his original personality, otherwise he wouldn't have called the other one a useless bum. After learning the truth, I stopped overthinking it. What's done is done. We were married, the baby was here. Having an extra servant around was pretty nice. It's not like I could divorce him now. 5 months after the baby was born, I came home to find him gone. I sent him to my mom's. I frowned. Why? He wrapped his arms around me. This is my rut. I missed you. It's been 5 months. My body went stiff. He sat me down on the edge of the bed and buried his head in my shoulder. Please, honey. I glanced at his open collar and swallowed hard. He was totally trying to seduce me. The next morning, I lifted a trembling hand and pointed at his grinning face. See, you alphas are nothing but animals ruled by desire.